Welcome, lords and ladies, to Thursday story time with yours truly. Oops. There we go. Sound check complete. Let me just adjust my microphone a bit. Hola, hola. I hope you are all faring well in our glorious kingdom. On Tuesday, when I was reading my darn, my microphone stand, it's complete crapola. My internet decided to go out, so I got cut off in the middle of a paragraph. So I'm going to begin just a few sentences before run-on sentences. We will remind you of that. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. Allow me to get comfortable here. Perhaps also to adjust my reading easel. And pull the mic in just a bit. And let's begin. But in the field were Lancelot's kith and kin, ranged with the table round that held the lists, strong men and wrathful that a stranger knight should do and almost overdo the deeds of Lancelot. And one said to the other, Lo, what is he? I do not mean the force alone, the grace and versatility of the man. Is it not Lancelot? When has Lancelot worn favour of any lady in the lists? Not such is his wont, as we that know him know. How then? Who then? A fury seized on them, a fiery family passion for the name of Lancelot, and a glory won with theirs. They couched their spears and pricked their steeds, and thus their plumes, driven backward by the wind they made in moving, all together down upon him bare, as a wild wave in the wide North Sea, green glimmering toward the summit bears, with all its stormy crests that smoke against the skies, down on a bark, and overbears the bark, and him that helms it. So they overbore Sir Lancelot and his charger, and a spear, down glancing, lamed the charger, and a spear pricked sharply his own cuirass, and the head pierced through his side, and there snapped and remained. Then Sir Lavaine did well and worshipfully. He bore a knight of old repute to the earth, and brought his horse to Lancelot where he lay. He up the side, sweating with agony, got, but thought to do while he might yet endure, and being lustily holpen by the rest, his party, though it seemed half miracle to those he fought with, drave his kith and kin and all the table round that held the lists back to the barrier. Then the heralds blew, proclaiming his the prize, who wore the sleeve of scarlet and the pearls. And all the knights, his party, cried, Advance and take your prize, the diamond. But he answered, Diamond me no diamonds, for God's love, a little air. Prize me no prizes, for my prize is death. Hence will I and charge you, follow me not. He spoke and vanished suddenly from the field, with young Lavaine into the poplar grove. There from his charger down he slid and sat, gasping to Sir Lavaine, Draw the lance head. Ah, my sweet lord Sir Lancelot, said Lavaine, I dread me if I draw it, ye will die. But he, I die already with it, draw, draw. And Lavaine drew, and that other gave a marvellous great shriek and ghastly groan, and half his blood burst forth, and down he sank for the pure pain, and wholly swooned away. Then came the hermit out and bare him, there staunched his wound, and there in daily doubt whether to live or die, for many a week hid from the wide world's rumor by the grove of poplars, with their noise of falling showers, and ever tremulous aspen trees he lay. But on that day when Lancelot fled the lists, his party, knights of utmost north and west, lords of waste marches, kings of desolate isles, came round their great Pendragon, saying to him, Lo, sire, our knight through whom we won the day hath gone sore wounded, and hath left his prize untaken, crying that his prize is death. Heaven hinder, said the king, that such as one, so great a knight as we have seen today, he seemed to me another Lancelot. Yea, 20 times I thought him Lancelot. He must not pass uncared for. Wherefore rise, O Gawain, and ride forth and find the knight. Wounded and wearied needs must he be near. I charge you that you get at once to horse, and knights and kings there breathes not one of you will deem this prize of ours is rashly given. His prowess was too wondrous. We will do him no customary honor, since the knight came not to us, of us to claim the prize. Ourselves will send it after. Rise and take this diamond, and deliver it, and return, and bring us where he is, and how he fares, and cease not from your quest until you find. So saying, from the carven flower above, to which it made a restless heart, he took and gave the diamond. Then from where he sat at Arthur's right, with smiling face arose, with smiling face and frowning heart, a prince, in the mid might and flourish of his May, Gawain, surnamed the Courteous, fair and strong, and after Lancelot, Tristram, and Geraint, and Lamorak, a good knight, but therewithal Sir Modred's brother, of a crafty house, nor often loyal to his words, and now wroth that the king's command to sally forth in quest of whom he knew not, made him leave the banquet and concourse of knights and kings. So all in wrath he got to horse and went, while all Arthur to the banquet dark in mood passed, thinking, Is it Lancelot who has come despite the wound he spake of, all for gain of glory, and has added wound to wound, and ridden away to die? So feared the king, and after 2 days Terence there returned. Then when he saw the queen embracing, asked, Love, are you yet so sick? Nay, lord, she said. And where is Lancelot? Then the queen amazed, Was he not with you? Won he not your prize? Nay, but one like him. Why, that like was he. And when the king demanded how she knew, said, Lord, no sooner had ye parted from us than Lancelot told me of a common talk, that men went down before his spear at a touch, but knowing he was Lancelot. His great name conquered, and therefore would he hide his name from all men, even the king, and to this end had made the pretext of a hindering wound, that he might joust unknown of all, and learn in his old prowess were in aught decayed. And added, Our true Arthur, when he learns, will well allow my pretext as for gain of purer glory. Then replied the king, Far lovelier in our Lancelot had it been, in lieu of idly dallying with the truth, to have trusted me as he has trusted you. Surely his king and most familiar friend might well have kept his secret. True indeed, albeit I know my knight's fantastical, so fine a fear in our large Lancelot must needs have moved my laughter, now remains. Now remains but little cause for laughter. His own kin, ill news, my queen, for all who love him, these. His kith and kin, not knowing, set upon him, so that he went sore wounded from the field. Yet good news too, for goodly hopes are mine, that Lancelot is no more a lonely heart. He wore, against his wont, upon his helm, a sleeve of scarlet broidered with great pearls, some gentle maiden's gift. Yea, lord, she said, your hopes are mine, and saying that, she choked, and sharply turned about to hide her face, passed to her chamber, and there flung herself down on the great king's couch, and writhed upon it, and clenched her fingers till they bit the palm, and shrieked out, Traitor! To the unhearing wall, then flashed into wild tears, and rose again, and moved about her palace proud and pale. Gawain the while through all the region round rode with his diamond, wearied of the quest, touched at all points except the poplar grove, and came at last, though late, to Astolat, whom glittering in enamelled arms the maid glanced at and cried, "What news from Camelot, lord? What of the knight with the red sleeve?" "He won." "I knew it," she said, but parted from the jousts hurt in the side, whereat she caught her breath. Through her own side she felt the sharp lance go. Thereon she smote her hand. Well nigh she swooned, and while he gazed wonderingly at her, came the Lord of Astolat out, to whom the prince reported who he was, and on what quest sent. And he bore the prize, and could not find the victor, but had ridden wildly round to seek him, and was wearied of the search. To whom the Lord of Astolat, "Bide with us, and ride no longer wildly, noble prince. Here was the knight, and here he left a shield. This will he send or come for. Furthermore, our son is with him. We shall hear anon, needs must we hear." To this the courteous prince accorded with his wonted courtesy, courtesy with a touch of traitor in it, and stayed, and cast his eyes on fair Elaine. Where could be found face daintier? Then her shape from forehead down to foot perfect, again, from foot to forehead exquisitely turned. "Well, if I bide, lo, this wild flower from me." And off they met among the garden yews, and there he set himself to play upon her with sallying wit, free flashes from a height above her, graces of the court, and songs, sighs, and slow smiles, and golden eloquence and amorous adulation, till the maid rebelled against it, saying to him, "Prince, O loyal nephew of our noble king, why ask you not to see the shield he left, whence you might learn his name? Why slight your king, and lose the quest he sent you on, and prove no surer than our falcon yesterday, who lost the hern we slipped him at, and went to all the winds? Nay, by mine head," said he, I lose it as we lose the lark in heaven, O damsel, in the light of your blue eyes. But an ye will it, let me see the shield." And when the shield was brought, and Gawain saw Sir Lancelot's azure lions, crowned with gold, ramp in the field, he smote his thigh and mocked. Right was the king, our Lancelot, that true man. And right was I, she answered merrily, I, who dreamed my knight the greatest knight of all. "And if I dreamed," said Gawain, "that you love this greatest knight, your pardon. Lo, you know it. Speak therefore. Shall I waste myself in vain?" Full simple was her answer. "What know I? My brethren have been all my fellowship, and I, when often they have talked of love, wished it had been my mother, for they talked. Me seemed of what they knew not, so myself. I know not if I know what true love is, but if I know, then if I love not him, methinks there is none other I can love." "Yea, by God's death," said he, "ye love him well, but would not, know ye what all others know, and whom he loves." "So be it," cried Elaine, and lifted her fair face and moved away. But he pursued her, calling, "Stay a little, one golden minute's gaze. He wore your sleeve. Would he break faith with one I may not name? Must our true man change like a leaf at last? Nay, like enough. Why then, far be it from me to cross our mighty Lancelot and his loves. And damsel, for I deem you know full well where your great knight is hidden, let me leave my quest with you, the diamond also, here. For if you love, it will be sweet to give it, and if he love, it will be sweet to have it from your own hand. And whether he love or not, a diamond is a diamond. Fare ye well 1,000 times farewell. Yet if he love, and his love hold, we two may meet at court hereafter. There I think so you will learn the courtesies of the court. We two shall know each other. Then he gave, and slightly kissed the hand to which he gave. The diamond, and all wearied of the quest, leapt on his horse, and caroling as he went, a true love ballad, lightly rode away. Thence to the court he passed. There told the king what the king knew. Sir Lancelot is the knight. And added, Sire, my liege, so much I learnt, but failed to find him, though I rode all round the region. But I lighted on the maid whose sleeve he wore. She loves him, and to her, deeming our courtesy is the truest law, I gave the diamond. She will render it, for by mine head she knows his hiding place. The seldom frowning king frowned and replied, Too courteous truly. Ye shall go no more on quest of mine, seeing that ye forget obedience is the courtesy due to kings. He spake and parted, wroth but all in awe, for 20 strokes of the blood without a word. Lingered that other, staring after him. Then shook his hair, strode off, and buzzed abroad about the maid of Astolat and her love. All ears were pricked at once, all tongues were loosed. The maid of Astolat loves Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot loves the maid of Astolat. Some read the king's face, some the queen's, and all had marvel what the maid might be, but most predoomed her as unworthy. One old dame came suddenly on the queen with the sharp news. She that had heard the noise of it before, but sorrowing, Lancelot should have stooped so low, marred her friend's point with pale tranquillity. So ran the tale like fire about the court. Fire and dry stubble a 9 days' wonder flared, till even the knights at banquet twice or thrice forgot to drink to Lancelot and the queen. And pledging Lancelot and the lily maid smiled at each other, while the queen, who sat with lips severely placid, felt the knot climb in her throat, and with her feet unseen, crushed the wild passion out against the floor beneath the banquet, where the meats became as wormwood, and she hated all who pledged. Ooh. But far away the maiden Astolat, her guiltless rival, she that ever kept the one day seen Sir Lancelot in her heart, crept to her father while he mused alone, sat on his knee, stroked his grey face, and said, Father, you call me wilful, and the fault is yours who let me have my will. And now, sweet father, will you let me lose my wits? Nay, said he, surely. Wherefore, let me hence, she answered, and find out our dear Lavaine. Ye will not lose your wits for dear Lavaine. Bide, answered he. We needs must hear anon of him and that other. Ay, she said, and of that other, for I needs must hence and find that other, wheresoever he be, and with mine own hand give his diamond to him, lest I be found as faithless in the quest as you, proud prince, who left the quest to me. Sweet father, I behold him in my dreams, gaunt as it were the skeleton of himself, death pale for lack of gentle maidens said, of gentle maidens' aid. The gentler born the maiden, the more bound, my father, to be sweet and serviceable to noble knights in sickness, as ye know, when these have worn their tokens. Let me hence, I pray you. Then her father, nodding, said, Ay, the diamond, wit you well, my child. Right fain were I to learn this night were whole, being our greatest. Yea, and you must give it. And sure I think this fruit is hung too high for any mouth to gape for, save at queen's. Nay, I mean nothing. So then, get ye gone. Being so very wilful, you must go. Hello, Alcamos. Lightly, her suit allowed, she slipped away, and while she made ready for her ride, her father's latest word hummed in her ear, Being so very wilful, you must go, and changed itself and echoed in her heart, Being so very wilful, you must die. But she was happy enough and shook it off, as we shake off the bee that buzzes at us, and in her heart she answered it and said, What matter? So I help him back to life. Then far away with good Sir Torre for guide, rode over the long backs of the bushless downs to Camelot, and before the city gates came on her brother with a happy face, making a roan horse caper and curvet for pleasure all about a field of flowers, whom when she saw, Lavaine, she cried, Lavaine, how fares my lord Sir Lancelot? He amazed. Torre and Elaine, why here? Sir Lancelot? How know ye my lord's name is Lancelot? But when the maid had told him all her tale, then turned Sir Torre, and being in his moods, left them, and under the strange statued gate, where Arthur's wars were rendered mystically, passed up the still rich city to his kin, his own far blood, which dwelt at Camelot. And her, Lavaine across the poplar grove led to the caves, where first she saw the casque of Lancelot on the wall, her scarlet sleeve, though carved and cut, and half the pearls away, streamed from it still, and in her heart she laughed because he had not loosed it from his helm, but meant once more perchance to tourney in it. And when they gained the cell in which he slept, his battle writhen arms and mighty hands lay naked on the wolfskin, and a dream of dragging down his enemy made them move. Then she saw that him, lying unsleek, unshorn, gaunt as it were the skeleton of himself, uttered a little tender, dolorous cry. The sound not wanted in a place so still, woke the sick knight, and while he rolled his eyes, yet blank from sleep, she started to him, saying, "Your prize, the diamond sent you by the king." His eyes glistened, she fancied. "Is it for me?" And when the maid had told him all the tale of king and prince, the diamond sent, the quest assigned to her not wholly worthy of it, she knelt full lowly by the corners of his bed, and laid the diamond in his open hand. Her face was near, and as we kiss the child that does the task assigned, he kissed her face. At once she slipped like water to the floor. "Alas," he said, "your ride has wearied you. Rest must you have." "No rest for me," she said. "Nay, for near you, fair lord, I am at rest." What might she mean by that? His large black eyes, yet larger through his leanness, dwelt upon her, till all her heart's sad secret blazed itself in the heart's colors on her simple face. And Lancelot looked and was perplexed in mind, and being weak in body said no more, but did not love the color, woman's love, save one, he not regarded, and so turned, sighing, and feigned asleep until he slept. Then rose Elaine and glided through the fields, and passed beneath the wildly sculptured gates, far up the dim rich city to her kin. There bode the night, but woke with dawn, and passed down through the dim rich city to the fields, thence to the cave. So day by day she passed in either twilight, ghost-like, to and fro gliding, and every day she tended him, and likewise many a night. And Lancelot would, though he called his wound a little hurt, whereof he should be quickly whole, at times, brain feverous, in his heat and agony, seem uncourteous even he. But the meek maid sweetly forbore him ever, being to him meeker than any child to a rough nurse, milder than any mother to a sick child, and never woman yet, since man's first fall, did kindlier unto man, but her deep love upbore her, till the hermit, skilled in all the simples and the sciences of that time, told him that her fine care had saved his life. And the sick man forgot her simple blush, would call her friend and sister, sweet Elaine, would listen for her coming and regret her parting step, and held her tenderly, and loved her with all love except the love of man and woman, when they loved the best, and closest, and sweetest, and had died the death in any knightly fashion for her sake. And peradventure, had he seen her first, she might have made this and that other world another world for the sick man. But now the shackles of an old love straitened him. His honor rooted in dishonor stood, and faith unfaithful kept him falsely true. Yet the great knight in his mid-sickness made full many a holy vow and pure resolve. These, as but born of sickness, could not live. For when the blood ran lustier in him again, full often the sweet image of one face, making a treacherous quiet in his heart, dispersed his resolution like a cloud. Then if the maiden, while that ghastly grace beamed on his fancy, spoke, he answered not, or short and coldly, and she knew right well what the rough sickness meant. But what this meant she knew not, and the sorrow dimmed her sight, and drave her ere her time across the fields, far into the rich city, where alone she murmured, Vain, in vain, it cannot be. He will not love me. How then must I die? Then, as a little helpless, innocent bird that has but one plain passage of few notes will sing the simple passage over and over for all an April morning, till the ear wearies to hear it, so the simple maid went half the night, repeating, Must I die? And now the right she turned, and now to left, and found no ease in turning or in rest. And him or death, she muttered, death or him. Again and like a burthen? Him or death. But when Sir Lancelot's deadly hurt was whole, to Astolat returning rode the three. There, morn by morn, arraying her sweet self in that wherein she deemed she looked her best, she came before Sir Lancelot, for she thought, If I be loved, these are my festal robes, if not, the victim's flowers before he fall. And Launcelot ever pressed upon the maid that she should ask some goodly gift of him for her own self or hers. And do not shun to speak the wish most dear to your true heart. Such service has ye done me, that I make my will of yours, and prince and lord am I in mine own land, and what I will, I can. Then like a ghost she lifted up her face, but like a ghost without the power to speak. And Lancelot saw what she withheld her wish, and bode among them yet a little space, till he should learn it. And one morn it chanced he found her in among the garden yews, and said, Delay no longer, speak your wish, seeing I must go today. Then out she brake, Going, and we shall never see you more, and I must die for want of one bold word. Speak that I live to hear, he said, is yours. Then suddenly and passionately she spoke. I have gone mad. I love you. Let me die. Ah, sister, answered Lancelot, what is this? And innocently extending her white arms, Your love, she said, your love, to be your wife. And Lancelot answered, Had I chosen to wed, I had been wedded earlier, sweet Elaine. But now there never will be wife of mine. No, no, she cried, I care not to be wife, but to be with you still, to see your face, to serve you, and to follow you through the world. And Lancelot answered, Nay, the world, all ear and eye, with such a stupid heart to interpret ear and eye, and such a tongue to blare its own interpretation. Nay, full ill then should I quit your brother's love, and your good father's kindness. And she said, Not to be with you, not to see your face, alas for me then, my good days are done. Nay, noble maid, he answered, 10 times nay. This is not love, but love's first flash in youth, most common. Yea, I know it of mine own self, and you yourself will smile at your own self hereafter, when ye yield your flower of life to one more fitly yours, not thrice your age. And then will I, for true you are and sweet beyond mine old belief in womanhood, more specially should your good knight be poor, endow you with broad land and territory, even to the half my realm beyond the seas, so that would make you happy, furthermore, even to the death, as though ye were my blood. In all your quarrels will I be your knight. This will I do, dear damsel, for your sake, and more than this I cannot. While he spoke, she neither blushed nor shook, but deathly pale stood grasping what was nearest, then replied, Of all this will I nothing, and so fell, and thus they bore her swooning to her tower. Then spake, to whom through those black walls of yew their talk had pierced, her father. Ay, a flash, I fear me, that will strike my blossom dead. Too courteous are you, fair Lord Lancelot. I pray you, use some rough discourtesy to blunt or break her passion. Lancelot said, That were against me, what I can I will. And there that day remained, and toward even sent for his shield. Full meekly rose the maid, stripped off the case, and gave the naked shield. Then when she heard his horse upon the stones, unclasping, flung the casement back, and looked down on his helm, from which her sleeve had gone. And Lancelot knew the little clinking sound, and she by tact of love was well aware that Lancelot knew that she was looking at him. And yet he glanced not up, nor waved his hand, nor bade farewell, but sadly rode away. This was the one discourtesy that he used. So in her tower alone the maiden sat. His very shield was gone, only the case, her own poor work, her empty labor left. But still she heard him, still his picture formed and grew between her and the pictured wall. Then came her father, saying in low tones, Have comfort, whom she greeted quietly. Then came her brethren, saying, Peace to thee, sweet sister, whom she answered with all calm. But when they left her to herself again, death, like a friend's voice from a distant field, approaching through the darkness, called. The owls, wailing, had power upon her, and she mixed her fancies with the sallow rifted glooms of evening and the moanings of the wind. And in those days she made a little song, and called her song the song of love and death, and sang it. Sweetly could she make and sing. Sweet is true love, though given in vain, and sweet is death who puts an end to pain. I know not which is sweeter, no, not I. Love, art thou sweet, then bitter death must be. Love, thou art bitter, sweet is death to me. O love, if death be sweeter, let me die. Sweet love that seems not made to fade away, sweet death that seems to make us loveless clay, I know not which is sweeter, no, not I. I fain would follow love, if that could be. I needs must follow death, who calls for me. Call and I follow, let me die. High with the last line scaled her voice, and this, all in a fiery dawning wild with wind that shook her tower, the brothers heard and thought with shuddering. Hark, the phantom of the house that ever shrieks before a death, and called the father, and all three in a hurry fear ran to her, and lo, the blood-red light of dawn flared on her face, she shrilling, Let me die! As when we dwell upon a word we know repeating, till the word we know so well becomes a wonder, and we know not why. So dwelt the father on her face, and thought, Is this Elaine? Till back the maiden fell, then gave a languid hand to each, and lay, speaking a still good morrow with her eyes. At last she said, Sweet brothers, yesternight I seemed a curious little maid again, as happy as when we dwelt among the woods, and when ye used to take me with the flood up the great river in the boatman's boat. Only ye would not pass beyond the cape that has the poplar on it. There ye fixed your limit, oft returning with the tide. And yet I cried because ye would not pass beyond it, and far up the shining flood until we found the palace of the king. And yet ye would not, but this night I dreamed that I was all alone upon the flood, and then I said, Now shall I have my will. And there I woke, but still the wish remained. So let me hence, that I may pass at last beyond the poplar and far up the flood, until I find the palace of the king. There will I enter in among them all, and no man there will dare to mock at me, but there the fine Gawain will wonder at me, and there the great Sir Lancelot muse at me, Gawain, who bade 1,000 farewells to me, Lancelot, who coldly went nor bade me one, and there the king will know me and my love, and there the queen herself will pity me, and all the gentle court will welcome me, and after my long voyage I shall rest. Peace, said her father. O my child, ye seem light-headed, for what force is yours to go so far, being sick? And wherefore would ye look on this proud fellow again, who scorns us all? Then the rough Tory began to heave and move and bluster into stormy sobs and say, I never loved him, and I met with him, I care not whosoever great he be. And will I strike at him, and strike him down? Give me good fortune, I will strike him dead for this discomfort he has done the house. To which the gentle sister made reply, Fret not yourself, dear brother, nor be wroth, seeing it is no more Sir Lancelot's fault not to love me than it is mine to love him of all men who seems to me the highest. Highest, the father answered, echoing, highest. He meant to break the passion in her. Nay, daughter, I know not what you call the highest, but this I know, for all the people know it. He loves the queen, and in an open shame, and she returns his love in open shame. If this be high, what is it to be low? Then spake the lily maid of Astolat, Sweet father, all too faint and sick am I for anger. These are slanders. Never yet was nobler man, but made ignoble talk. He makes no friend who never made a foe. But now it is my glory to have loved one peerless, without stain. So let me pass, my father, whosoever I seem to you. Not all unhappy, having loved God's best and greatest, though my love had no return. Yet seeing ye desire your child to live, thanks, but ye work against your own desire. For if I could believe the things ye say, I should but die the sooner. Wherefore cease, sweet father, and bid call the ghostly man hither, and let me shrive me clean, and die. So when the ghostly man had come and gone, she with a face bright as for sin forgiven, besought Lavaine to write as she devised a letter, word for word. And when he asked, Is it for Lancelot? Is it for my dear lord? Then will I bear it gladly. She replied, For Lancelot and the queen and all the world, but I myself must bear it. Then he wrote the letter she devised, which being writ and folded, O sweet father, tender and true, deny me not, she said. Ye never yet denied my fancies, this, however strange, my latest. Lay the letter in my hand a little ere I die, and close the hand upon it. I shall guard it even in death, and when the heat is gone from out my heart, then take the little bed on which I died for Lancelot's love, and deck it like the queen's for richness, and me also like the queen, in all I have of rich, and lay me on it. And let there be prepared a chariot bier to take me to the river, and a barge be ready on the river, clothed in black. I go in state to court to meet the queen. There surely I shall speak for mine own self, and none of you can speak for me so well. And therefore let our dumb old man alone go with me. He can steer and row, and will guide me to that palace, to the doors. She ceased. Her father promised, whereupon she drew so cheerful that they deemed her death was rather in a fantasy than the blood. But 10 slow mornings passed, and on the 11th her father laid the letter in her hand, and closed the hand upon it, and she died. So that day there was dole in Astolat. But when the next sun brake from underground, then those two brethren slowly with bent brows accompanying the sad chariot bier, passed like a shadow through the field that shone full summer to that stream whereon the barge, palled all its length, in blackest samite lay. There sat the lifelong creature of the house, loyal, the dumb old servitor, on deck, winking his eyes, and twisted all his face. So those two brethren from the chariot took, and on the black decks laid her in bed, set in her hand a lily. Over her hung the silken case with braided blazonings, and kissed her quiet brows, and saying to her, Sister, farewell forever. And again, Farewell, sweet sister. Parted in all tears. Shit, I'm gonna cry. Sorry. Then rose the dumb old servitor, and the dead, steered by the dumb, went upward with the flood. In her right hand the lily, in her left the letter, all her bright hair streaming down, and all the coverlid was cloth of gold, drawn to her waist, and she herself in white, all but her face. And that clear-featured face was lovely, for she did not seem as dead, but fast asleep. and lay as though she smiled. That day Sir Lancelot at the palace craved audience of Guinevere, to give at last the price of half a realm, his costly gift, hard won, and hardly won with the bruise and blow, with deaths of others, and almost his own. The 9 years fought for diamonds, for he saw one of her house, and sent him to the queen bearing his wish, whereto the queen agreed with such and so unmoved a majesty she might have seemed her stature, but that he, low drooping till he well nigh kissed her feet, for loyal awe, saw with a sidelong eye the shadow of a piece of pointed lance in the queen's shadow vibrate on the walls, and parted, laughing in his courtly heart. I'm sorry. um, all in an oriel on the summer side, vine clad, of Arthur's palace toward the stream they met, and Lancelot kneeling uttered, Queen, lady, my liege, in whom I have my joy, take what I had not won except for you, these jewels, and make me happy, making them an armlet for the roundest arm on earth, or necklace for a neck to which the swan's is tawnier than her signets. These are words. Your beauty is your beauty, and I sin in speaking. Yet, O grant my worship of it. Words as we grant grief tears. Such sin in words, perchance, we both can pardon. But, my queen, I hear of rumors flying through your court. Our bond, as not the bond of man and wife, should have in it an absoluter trust to make up the defect. Let rumors be. When did not rumors fly? These, as I trust that you trust me in your own nobleness, I may not well believe that you believe. While thus he spoke, half turned away the queen, brake from the vast oriel embowering vine leaf after leaf, and tore, and cast them off, till all the palace whereon she stood was green. Then, when he ceased, in one cold passive hand received at once and laid aside the gems there on a table near her, and replied, It may be I am quicker of belief than you believe me, Lancelot of the Lake. Our bond is not the bond of man and wife. This good is in it, whatsoever of ill. It can be broken easier. I for you this many a year have done despite and wrong to one whom ever in my heart of hearts I did acknowledge nobler. What are these? Diamonds for me? They had been thrice their worth, being your gift, had ye not lost your own. To loyal hearts, the value of all gifts must vary as the giver's. Not for me, for her, for your new fancy. Only this grant me, I pray you. Have your joys apart. I doubt not that, however changed, you keep so much of what is graceful, and myself would shun to break those bonds of courtesy in which, as Arthur's queen, I move and rule. So cannot speak my mind. An end to this, a strange one, yet I take it with amen. So pray ye, add my diamonds to her pearls, deck her with these, tell her she shines me down, an armlet for an arm to which the queen's is haggard, or a necklace for a neck, oh, as much fairer, as a faith once fair was richer than these diamonds, hers, not mine. Nay, by the mother of our Lord himself, or hers or mine now to work my will, she shall not have them. Saying which she seized, and through the casement standing wide for heat, flung them, and down they flashed, and smote the stream, and from the smitten surface flashed, as it were, diamonds to meet them, and they passed away. Then, while Sir Lancelot leant in half disgust at love, life, all things, on the window ledge, close underneath his eyes, and right across where these had fallen, slowly passed the barge, whereon the lily maid of Astolat lay smiling, like a star in blackest night. This is so sad. But the wild queen, who saw not, burst away to weep and wail in secret, and the barge, onto the palace doorway sliding, paused. There two stood armed, and kept the door, to whom all up the marble stair, tier over tier, were added mouths that gaped, and eyes that asked, What is it? But that oarsman's haggard face, as hard and still as is the face that men shape to their fancy's eye from broken rocks on some cliffside, appalled them, and they said, "He is enchanted, cannot speak, and she, look how she weeps. Oh, I'm sorry, look how she sleeps, the fairy queen, so fair. Yea, but how pale! What are they? Flesh and blood, or come to take the king to fairyland? For some do hold our Arthur cannot die, but that he passes into fairyland." While thus they babbled of the king came girt with knights, then turned the tongueless man from the half face to the full eye, and rose and pointed to the damsel and the doors. So Arthur bade the meek Sir Percival and pure Sir Galahad to uplift the maid, and reverently they bore her into the hall. Then came then came the fine Gawain and wondered at her, and Lancelot later came and mused at her, and last the queen herself and pitied her. But Arthur spied the letter in her hand, stooped, took, brake seal, and read it. This was all. Most noble lord, Sir Lancelot of the Lake, I, sometimes called the Lily Maid of Astolat, come, for you left me taking no farewell hither to take my last farewell of you. I loved you, and my love had no return, and therefore my true love has been my death, and therefore to our Lady Guinevere and to all other ladies I make moan. Pray for my soul, and yield me burial. Pray for my soul, though too, Sir Lancelot, as thou art a knight peerless. Thus he read, and ever in the reading lords and dames wept, looking often from his face who read to hers, which lay so silent, and at times so touched were they, half thinking that her lips who had devised the letter moved again. Then freely spoke Sir Launcelot to them all. My lord liege Arthur, and all ye that hear, know that for this most gentle maiden's death right heavy am I. For good she was and true, but loved me with a love beyond all love in women, whomsoever I have known. Yet to be loved makes not to love again, not at my years, however it holds in youth. I swear by truth and knighthood that I gave no cause, not willingly, for such a love. To this I call my friends in testimony, her brethren and her father, who himself besought me to plain and blunt and use to break her passion some discourtesy against my nature. That I could, I did. I left her, and I bade her no farewell. Though had I dreamed the damsel would have died, I might have put my wits to some rough use and helped her from herself. Then said the queen, See was her wrath yet working after storm. Ye might at last have done her so much grace, fair lord, as would have helped her from her death. He raised his head, their eyes met, and hers fell. He adding, Queen, she would not be content save that I wedded her, which could not be. Then might she follow me through the world. She asked, it could not be. I told her that her love was but the flash of youth, would darken down to rise hereafter in a stiller flame toward one more worthy of her. Then would I, more specially were he, she wedded, poor, estate them with large land and territory in mine own realm beyond the narrow seas, to keep them in all joyance. More than this I could not. This she would not, and she died. He pausing, Arthur answered, O my knight, it will be to thy worship, as my knight and mine, as head of all our table round, to see that she be buried worshipfully. So toward that shrine, which then in all the realm was richest, Arthur leading, slowly went the marshalled order of their table round, and Lancelot sat beyond his wont to see the maiden buried, not as one unknown, nor meanly, but with gorgeous I don't know that word, and mass, and rolling music like a queen, And when the knights had laid her comely head low in the dust of half-forgotten kings, then Arthur spake among them, Let her tomb be costly, and her image thereon, and let the shield of Lancelot at her feet be carven, and her lily in her hand. And let the story of her dolorous voyage for all true hearts be blazoned on her tomb in letters gold and azure, which was wrought thereafter. And when now the lords and dames and people from the high doors streaming break disorderly, as homeward each, the queen, who marked Sir Lancelot where he moved apart, drew near, and sighed in passing, Lancelot, forgive me, mine was jealousy and love. He answered with his eyes upon the ground, That is love's curse. Pass on, my queen, forgiven. But Arthur, who beheld his cloudy brows, approached him, and with full affection flung one arm about his neck, and spake and said, Lancelot, my Lancelot, thou in whom I have most love and most affiance, for I know what thou hast been in battle by my side, and many a time have watched thee at the tilt strike down the lusty and long-practised knight, and let the younger and unskilled go by to win his honor and to make his name, and love thy courtesies in thee, a man made to be loved. But now I would to God, for the wild people say wild things of thee. Thou couldst have loved this maiden, shaped, it seems, by God for thee alone, and from her face, if one may judge the living by the dead, delicately pure and marvelously fair, who might have brought thee, now a lonely man, wifeless and heirless, noble issue, sons born to the glory of thy name and fame, my knights, the great Sir Lancelot of the Lake. Then answered Lancelot, Fair she was, my king, pure as you ever wish your knights to be. To doubt her fairness were to want an eye, to doubt her pureness were to want a heart. Yea, to be loved, if what is worthy love could bind him, but free love will not be bound. Free love, so bound, were freest, said the king. Let love be free, free love is for the best, and after heaven, on our dull side of death, what should be best, if not so pure a love clothed in so pure a loveliness? Yet these she failed to bind, though being, as I think, unbound as yet, and gentle, as I know. And Lancelot answered nothing, but he went, and at the in-running of a little brook, sat by the river in a cove, and watched the high reed wave, and lifted up his eyes, and saw the barge that brought her moving down, far off, a blot upon the stream, and said low in himself, Ah, simple heart and sweet, ye loved me, damsel, surely with a love far tenderer than my queen's. Pray for thy soul? Ay, that I will. Farewell, too, now at last. Farewell, fair lily. Jealousy and love, not rather dead love's harsh air, jealous pride. Queen, if I grant the jealousy as of love, may not your crescent fear for name and fame speak as it waxes of a love that wanes? Why did the king dwell on my name to me? Mine own name shames me, seeming a reproach. Lancelot, whom the Lady of the Lake stole from his mother, as the story runs. She chanted snatches of mysterious song, heard on the winding waters, eve and morn. She kissed me, saying, Thou art fair, my child, as a king's son. And often in her arms she bare me, pacing on the dusky mere. Would she had drowned me in it, wherever it be, for what am I? What profits me my name of greatest knight? I fought for it, and have it. Pleasure to have it, none. To lose it, pain. Now grown a part of me, but what use in it? To make men worse by making my sin known. Or sin seem less, the sinner seeming great. Alas, for Arthur's greatest knight, a man not after Arthur's heart. I needs must break these bonds so that defame me. Not without she wills it. Would I, if she willed it? Nay, who knows? But if I would not, then may God, I pray him, send a sudden angel down to seize me by the hair, and bear me far, and fling me deep in that forgotten mere, among the tumbled fragments of the hills. So groaned Sir Lancelot in remorseful pain, not knowing he should die a holy man. Oh, what a sad, sad story. Very sad. Excuse my tears at the passing of the lily maid. It was terrible. And I burped. Whoops. Let's see who joined us today for story time. We had Sir Unundoctrinated, Alchemos 83, Mindful Exposures, hello fair lady, Just JP, and those were our guests today for story time. The next story in the Idylls of the King is the Holy Grail. And we will attempt to read it. I would guess, if not this weekend, then next Tuesday for certain. Because I am working on a movie and I'm having a lot of fun with it already. So I hope that you're all doing well on this fair Thursday. And remember the fair lady, the lily maid of Astolat. How beautiful. So yeah, that's it for now. There's some good stuff going on later today. Gary Wayne's going to be with Paranoid American. I'm going to be watching that. Woo! That'll be good stuff. And I hope to see you all around sometime today when I take breaks from my work. And if not, on the morrow for a certainty. Much love and best wishes, little fishes. I'll see you soon.